The first question, and I'll have you answer this, Jonathan. I would imagine you have experience with it on both sides, but does a content marketing strategy take a lot of resources, and what are some of the ways to do content marketing without a large team?
Oh, that is a great question. Let me summarize it, pointing back to a couple of things that I mentioned beforehand. Content strategies can be very cost-intensive, but they don't need to be. If you sat down with your organization and went through a few exercises relative to the strategy itself, in talking about the messaging, meaning what is your organization about? What does it represent? What does it stand for? What are the top 5 things that you think of, and begin to find adjectives that describe the organization, and go through some exercises with people within your organization, and have what will become, in the tech industry, we call them word clouds. But there are things that will jump out, stand out. And then once you understand that, begin looking at content strategies that other people in your industry or offering are using. Don't be ashamed of looking at what someone else is doing that they're doing well, and then picking it apart and duplicating what you can duplicate from an existing marketing strategy, or at least what you can extrapolate from what it appears others are doing with content marketing in your industry. So it can be very cost intensive, because to do a content market, the actual content marketing itself may require a host of things that cost money. But today, the cost of doing content marketing online, whether you're doing direct promotion through clicks and AdWords and ads in social media, or whether you're being promoted on, what's the word I'm looking for, on affiliate sites, there may be a cost that's associated with it. But when compared to conventional marketing expenses of putting up a billboard or doing other things, the value proposition is far greater. And so I wouldn't look at this and help those in your marketing teams, if you have them, understand that what they've put in the yellow pages historically and what cost burden there was then, or on a billboard or in some other conventional way, that you can get a lot more bang for your buck, especially being able to quantify your reach, conversions, and those sorts of things. I hope that answered that.
I think so. I'll just add something briefly to it as well. And I think that Jonathan's completely correct. It can be costly. The value prop is better, in my opinion. But you could also look at a different way, which is, rather than creating a comprehensive corporate-wide content strategy, look at a specific segment or a specific product that you might have and implement the strategy with that group, where you won't need as much content, and do it as a trial. And so start a little bit smaller where it is digestible for you and the team, get it out there, and see if it doesn't promote that certain line better than the others. And where you find success with it, slowly roll it out to the whole company. I think that would accomplish two things, which is, one, you're able to get going on content strategy, but B, the organization sees the value of the process and will help you get the resources that you need to deliver a more comprehensive strategy. And so I think on both sides, content strategy is something you can start right away, big or small, no matter how many are on your team, but it's just how you plan to move forward with it. And so consider that as you go forward.
Excellent thought.
One other question here is, I get this question a lot, and not sure we're going to be able to answer it, but the question is, how do you get your content to go viral? Jonathan, have you ever had anything go viral?
Yeah, we've had some success with that, and part of the challenge is virility is generally jump-started by, and I say this generally because there's often no rhyme or reason as to why something becomes viral. But some things that become viral are viral because of their edgy nature, because it's fresh, it's new, it's edgy. Well, that may not be your brand, and that's okay. You don't want to sell out your brand just in hopes that you can become viral. But I think if we could answer that, we wouldn't be on a webinar. We'd be on Grand Cayman with our feet up on a lounge chair. Everyone is trying to figure this out, and there are certain things about the way, and when you're in your content development, think about what will intrigue this audience, and create your content, whether it's the titles, whether it's the angle that you're taking on something, to position you in a way that it could be viral. And that helps. It's going to give you a greater opportunity of something going viral than just putting out something that's quite stale. But I think all of us who are marketers wish we had that golden ticket and could hit it every time. In the case of the success at Blendtec, it was because of the reasons that I've mentioned. Some of the things that we did well for the church that were viral in nature were topical and title driven. So just keep those things in mind and be creative in the content creation process.
Yep.
And try it. Dustin said what I really loved, and this is so much of this is trial and error.
Yeah.
Always be testing, always be trying things, and as long as you're attentive and you're not just throwing something out there never to look at it again, look and see what's working and what's not, and that's going to help you better understand your audience, who your customers are, and it's going to help you craft your messaging moving forward.
A great thought. And we also on our end have not heard the secret formula for making something viral, but if any of those of you out there have something that's gone viral, think you have it, we'd love to hear it. So tweet at us or let us know what your viral campaign was and what you think made it happen. The next question here is, how does content affect SEO? I don't know if you want to take that, Phil, or...
Well, so it's interesting. From an SEO perspective, you'll find that content affects it more so than ever because of the way that Google has begun to understand the value of companies and what they provide to organizations. You can't fake it anymore, and quality content has now become the most highly desired, parts of most SEO campaigns. Companies that have had in-house SEO teams or have hired agencies are now looking to agencies to not only help provide and guide content creation, but then promote and distribute excellent content. And so it's really become, a piece, speaking of, things going viral, a well-designed piece of content that's then well-promoted and published in the right places can have as much about things going viral than almost anything else, in the amount of links that you can get that are of quality, that have a major impact on your SEO. You can do that through one or two quality pieces of content almost better than anything else. So in today's world with content, we found that having 2 or 3 top-notch pieces of content that are reshared and published, dozens and dozens and hundreds of times far outweighs developing, 100 to 200 spammy SEO-related blog posts or pieces of content that will never get off the ground. So think about that in today's age and with how Google has shifted, SEO and content, their relationship is, highly sought-after content that can be reshared and published and promoted in multiple sources will pay dividend after dividend, more so than just quantity.
And you would need to ask yourself, Phil, I hope you don't mind me interjecting here.
Go ahead.
Ask yourself, relative to the nature of your business, can I be the authority on this topic? And you need to be honest, because in many cases the answer is no. They're the fish way too big on a particular topic to be the authority on that from an SEO perspective that's going to rank you at number 1. But what's also important to recognize is, as Phil touched on, the dynamic nature of this algorithm that is Google, that is people are constantly trying to reverse engineer and figure it out for commercial benefit, is so dynamic that it understands each of us individually, and its whole purpose is to provide us with a unique search experience. Meaning, when we first started doing this, the search experience that Phil would have and Dustin would have and I would have and all of you would have would almost be exactly the same if we punched in the same key term. Not any longer. Now, whether it's from crunching our emails to the public-facing social behaviors that it is constantly harvesting data to personalize an experience, content is never been more important in the way that you create content. That you're creating content that is bite-sized enough that it can be shared, but then points back to the sort of articles and rich content that Phil is talking about that live on a website, so you can become more authoritative. And within your market, you may not be the 800-pound gorilla. You may not be the broad universal authority on a topic, but you can be locally. So with Google looking at localized searches more than ever before and identifying if I search for piano and it knows that my internet protocol is in Utah, it's going to present for me piano places that are in Utah. So think about that in the way you create your content. Are you creating localized content if you have a localized market? Because if you are, you stand a greater chance to be a local authority on the specific topic, where it may not be important that you rank #1 for golf. Leave that to people who have tens of millions of dollars of marketing and advertising budgets, but you can be a golf provider in the state of Utah if you're curating the right sort of content, both for social as well as for more evergreen stuff. Thanks, Phil.
Oh yeah, that's a great point. I think you can take that same point and apply it to your AdWords and cross campaigns. So I think everybody out there should take note of what Jonathan just said and actually use that in many different channels, even beyond content. Next question. Is there a tool that can be used to distribute content and listen to engagements? I'll actually go ahead and take that myself. There are a number of tools out there. Just to list off of a few: Hootsuite, Octopus. There is, I'm just trying to think of them. Jonathan, throw them out there if you got them.
Yeah, I've got a few. Go ahead. Keep mentioning your list.
Mention, Talkwalker, Topsy. What about you, John?
I'm going to give just a few that could be used. They're not as well known, but as you think about your content strategy, if your business is small enough to where people are following you when you tweet, they're following you in social, they're following you on a blog. There's a site called If This. It's not a site, it's an app. If This, Then That. And you can control, it's really, really cool. You can control what you're presenting and where it delivers and how it delivers. Meaning that if I do this, that is going to occur. If I do this, then it's going to post to that particular social platform and that particular social platform. And you basically build in the model for how you want it to deliver your messaging across social. There's one that's similar to If This Then That, called Zapier, that's more business related, where IFTTT is more specifically geared toward interpersonal relationships, but you can certainly promote it from a business perspective if you have followers. Zapier is Z-A-P-I-E-R. It has business related kind of automated features. And then, Buffer's been around in social publishing. I think the most prominent one, if you're looking at something to blanket social with, would be Hootsuite that he mentioned, where you can control time and place of where you want things distributed. But find something that works for you. There are so many of these apps that exist, and every day there's more that are coming out. Explore them, find one that you think works for your business, and try a variety of them to see which are working for you.
I would agree with that, and we can get out a list of it, but it's almost just as easy. You can just search, social media listening tools, you'll get an entire range of them, and to Jonathan's point, find the one that's right for you guys, as some of them are comprehensive across every social channel, whereas others like TweetDeck is going to be specific to Twitter. So what is it that you need, and find that right tool. I'll actually, go ahead, sorry.
I was just going to mention one more thing that's so critical in the creation of content. Historically, especially if you're a brand of prominence or an organization of prominence, the attitude was, you need to come through our big brass doors. You come through our website portal, or you don't find us, excuse me, you don't find us at all. And I think today we need to realize that there are so many portals for access that if we ignore a variety of portals simply because we say, well, we're going to discount Twitter. I don't like Twitter. I'm not on Twitter. Therefore, I'm going to write it off. Or we hear about our kids are on Snapchat, our kids are on Vine, and it just has no place for me. Yet, depending on if you really understand your audience, and it could be broad enough, don't force your audience to live where you insist they live. All you're doing is congesting the conversion funnel. Provide opportunities, access points, portholes, doors, windows, crawl spaces for people to access your brand. And it may be that causes you as a marketing team to look more specifically, should we be on something like Snapchat? Should we be encouraging it? Should we have the badge under our social? And should we be creating stories each day for people to follow because we have a brand that people, or a service that they're interested in, or they're interested in an executive, or whatever the case might be. But just don't be quick to discount access points to your brand or to your service, and be thinking of that in a broader content strategy.
Couldn't agree more. I do have to mention when I leave the office, if it's after 5 p.m., my if, then, and that will send a message to my girlfriend saying I'm on my way home. So that tool has a lot of functions, and something I think you guys should take a look at. I will also do a shameless plug here for a listening tool, and that's for any type of marketing automation software. Marketing automation is built to listen, and depending on the automation program that you take, you can listen to most all of the major social channels. The other nice thing about it is it's actually going to distribute content on your behalf in a scheduled and automated way. And so for those companies out there that are large enough, and you don't have to be huge by any means, you're often looking somewhere, maybe $500 to $1,500 a month in a spend. But it can become, it can make your organization turn one person into feeling like it's 4 or 5 people, just through the automated and scheduled processes that it allows. And so that's something I think every organization should be looking at as well. All right, our last question goes to you, Jonathan. Can Jonathan give an example of how his company has used Twitter as a content distribution channel?
Yes. You're naturally limited by character, and I spoke of brevity before. One of the challenges with anything in social media is gaining an audience if you don't already have one that's built in. Meaning if you're not a superhero, you're not the Kardashians, I still cannot figure out why people are interested in them, but nevertheless they are. If you're not one of those people, how do you gain an audience? And so you, as it relates to your content strategy, need to be thoughtful about, is Twitter your right audience? And you can try it. Now, Twitter being a public-facing social platform, what you're producing gives you a world-of-mouth audience. You have a broad reach in the things that you're presenting. Now, there are ways in which you can start developing some audiences around Twitter. But what I've done, let me just give you an example of what we've done in encouraging the use of Twitter relative to the advice that I offer to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Twice a year, semi-annually, they have their general conference of the church. And we started years ago with what we called, the hashtag was Twitter Stake. And a stake in the church is defined geographical area of membership. So we, with others who had interest in technology, started using this hashtag TwitterStake, and suddenly it took off and it began to trend on Twitter. Now, it was unique enough that there were enough people who were members of the church who would be tuned into conference where we had suggested that you use this and you share snippets of interesting discussions or talks or things. But to actually trend on the homepage of Twitter was a significant milestone. Now, almost without exception, on those 2 weekends, twice a year, LDS Conf, which is the church's now official hashtag, will trend, which has replaced the TwitterStake. Now, there are other examples of success on Twitter, but Twitter, like any other social platform, is not a guaranteed hit if what you're offering isn't compelling, if what you're offering is just ordinary. And again, unless you're one of these superstar people, they say stupid things all day long and people seem to consume it like crazy. But that's an exception, that's not the rule. And so within your business, you need to look and decide within yourself, is Twitter where my audience, are they going to be following the sort of content that I'm producing on Twitter? Have that be your first discussion and then try it out. You'll have the badge, you'll have the thumbnail on your homepage or in other places, but is it getting traction? Are you using emails to encourage people to go to Twitter if you're preferring to use Twitter as a microblog? Because that's really what Twitter is it's a microblog. You're just telling a story with fewer characters and you're doing it more often. But what you can do to go back to using Hootsuite is to create something that allows you to more broadly send messages that can be shared across multiple platforms, even Twitter, that aren't going to require you to have to create individual messaging time and time again throughout the day. I hope that answers that question.
No, I think that's a fantastic answer. Thank you. I'm going to go. That's our final question, and once again, we want to say thank you. I want to thank Jonathan Johnson. Appreciate your time today.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Absolutely. On behalf of Jonathan Johnson, the CEO of More Good Foundation and co-founder of Link LMS, my name is Dustin Cederholm. I'm the Digital Conversion Manager at Fluid. And for Phil Case, the Managing Director and partner here at Fluid, we'd like to thank you for attending another Fluid webinar series. We'll see you guys next month.